Okay, Minorcan Navy, I just want to show you this. This is a little video from inside the boat. And even on days when it looks like it's really smooth out there, it's not. It makes everything a little bit of a challenge aboard. But I realized that I cheated you guys on some of the 4K video. And so I wanted to put this up. This is a continuation from our last trip up to Baltimore at the Dali, when we were looking at the work that had been completed as we noted. We could see that concrete pillar had been cut, and we saw that was put on the barge, and then we saw that barge moving over towards Sparrows Point. But there's parts of this video in a couple different angles that I thought you guys might enjoy. So let's get with it and take a look and see what we can see. You know, when I look at this image and I look at the equipment that has been placed aboard, you know, there's man lifts, looks like compressors are down there, generators, you know, all those things that you would expect to see from an operation like this. And then you see that massive piece of concrete that is still laying across the bow there of the ship. And we've got some interesting video coming up of that I think you guys will enjoy seeing. And you can see those guys crossing it. But what we've got coming up here is we kind of highlighted that so you guys could really lock in on it and see the scaffolding that has been constructed there, crossing that piece. Now this is, you know, the barge. We saw that piece of that pillar that was cut and placed on there on the barge. Same barge we saw on Saturday heading over to Sparrows Point. And when you compare that piece of concrete to the guys working on the deck of the Weeks 533, even though it's hollow, massive amount of weight, large piece of structure there. I've tried to count the number of containers that I can see damaged, and I get so lost in here, and it's so hard to guesstimate how many are up underneath that piece of concrete. It's obvious that you can see the remnants of 2 or 3 there, maybe 6 that are in various conditions of destruction behind it. Just don't know how many are still aboard. Got a pretty good view here of the deck of the 533 and some of that equipment and machinery that works the spud system on the 533. Thought that was an interesting shot as well. And then it was a great day to tug watch. And this is the Patricia Jean. She's going to come back alongside the 533. Nice looking tug. I think it's rated at about 2,800 horsepower. As with most tugs, when you look at the history of the boat, it's had lives in other places, working with other services. But here it looks pretty happy. And a pretty tug. Good to see the Port of Baltimore coming back. In the background there, it looks like we've got a ro-ro ship, and also a bulk freighter up alongside some of the docks there in Dundalk. Port of Baltimore is rebounding nicely, and it's great to see. Of course, Don John has gotten the channel. It's completely opened up. It's full service as it was before, maybe even better because of the dredging that was done to get the bridge up. But it is back at full operational status now for the federal channel into the port. Now, I know this operation is going on, and in the background there you can see some of those container cranes, which normally would be working a container ship. This has got to be an expensive proposition to keep the ship tied up in this area, as I know that these containers, there's just certain areas that the containers can be loaded. They have to be accessed with these crane systems in these yards where the equipment is to move the containers. I don't know when these containers are going to come off the ship. We keep hearing it's going to happen in Norfolk. The decisions that are made there, we've heard a lot of different theories. The one is that they got to keep the weight on the ship to clear bridges. It may be that the salvage group Resolve is not going to mess with the cargo except what was damaged, and that's going to be done. They'll be taken off at somewhere else. Keep in mind that when these containers are put on in an order based on where they were going to go, where they were going to be unloaded, that kind of thing, and there's a procedure for getting these things moved. And it may be that Baltimore is not ready to accept a shipload of containers at one time. I don't know. I'm willing to bet that a lot of that decision as to when and where they're going to come off comes down to economics. Shipping is a business, and I know that there's probably some goods on there that folks are still expecting to receive. But keep in mind, this has been ongoing since March the 26th. And it may be that they're going to have to wait a little while longer before they get them. I just don't have an answer for you guys as to why. But again, if I was a betting man, I would say it probably comes right on down to the economics of the shipping business. Now, I don't know how many of those that are underneath and been damaged by that concrete pillar, how much of what is inside those containers is going to be salvageable. If there was anything in it, there's a good chance that those containers were completely empty. Keep in mind, I have not seen a manifest for the ship. I have not seen the complete manifest for the ship and the location of what is where on the ship. You can bet there is one. Interesting shot here of the 533, the deck and the winch system. A lot of that's used to pick up the spuds, get the spuds up and down on the ship. it's not just the crane, but it's a lot of auxiliary equipment that's necessary to supplement the system. A lot of personnel on the ship. When you look around and see the people moving around, there's a lot of guys down there. A lot of guys working across the top. And coming up here, I'm going to show you guys this scaffolding system, and you're going to get to see some of these salvers working, coming up and down the scaffolding, and that's across that piece of concrete. That is the piece of concrete there from the bridge supports, from that main support. But I thought this was a neat shot because you got guys that are coming up on the left-hand scaffolding and the right-hand scaffolding at the same time, and you get an idea of just how big that piece is. It's like 2 or 3 flights of stairs to get up it and get across that thing, and they're using that as a bridge walk back and forth for right now. Very interesting shot when you look at it and see just how big that piece of concrete is. And that's where that crewman is walking right across what used to be the main support for the bridge. Well, we're going to fly in and land the drone. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Listen, if you haven't done it yet, click on that subscribe link. Leave us some comments and give us a thumbs up. The algorithm really likes that. And most of all, hey, we want you guys to be safe out there.